Welcome to CS540 Introduction to AI. This is Lecture 1, Part 1, where I will be going through the administrative stuff, and actual machine learning starts in Part 2. So the first thing I want to talk about is the lecture format. So all the lectures will be pre-recorded and posted on the course website, like this one. And I will use the university assigned lecture time mainly for participation quizzes, which will account for 20% of your grade. So the schedule is basically at the beginning of each lecture, I will go through the slides very quickly, and then I will go through some of the examples. So after each example, I'll display a question that's very similar to the example, and you will spend some time to solve that question and submit your answer, and then after that, we will go through that question together. So most likely, I will not use all the lecture time, so the remaining time will be used for office hours, where you can ask questions. Next, about grading. So I already talked about the 20% for the quizzes. So there will be 12 lectures, so 10 of them will be counted, 2% each, so 20% total. However, if you cannot attend quizzes for some reason, for example, if you are not in this country, or if you have schedule conflicts, you can choose the option to double the exam weights. So there will be 2 exams, one midterm and one final, 10% each, so 20% in total. If you choose the option to double the exam weights, then it will be 20% each, so 40% total. And the remaining 60% is there will be 10 math homework, 2% each again, so 20% here. 10 of them will be actual math homework. The first one is just a test, and the second last one is just completing the course evaluation. So 10 actual one plus 2, and you can choose the 10 best out of them. And there will be 5 programming homework, each one 8%, so it's 40%. 5 of them, again, will be actual programming homework, and the last one will be do whatever you want. So you can choose your data set, your algorithm, basically do a project you like. So if you sum them up, it will be 100%. I will talk about the quizzes during the actual lecture, so I'll not spend time here, and I'll skip the blank quiz as well. So now the math homework. So officially they are due 1 week after they are posted, but I will not enforce the deadline, which means there will be a deadline on Canvas, but you can submit late. So I'm okay with any time before the midterm and before the final. So the first 6 or 7 before the midterm, and the next 4 or 5 before the final. So it does not make any sense to solve the question that will be on the midterm after the midterm. So I will enforce these 2 deadlines, and all of them will be auto-graded. So after they are auto-graded, you can just submit your grade. So I will show you one example. So if you go to my website, it looks like this, and the M1, M2, M3, they are the math homeworks, and P1, P2, P3, they are the programming homework. So we'll open the first one. So all the questions are randomly generated based on your ID. So at the beginning, you must enter your ID. So for example, if you enter my ID, you'll get one set of questions. So if you look at these numbers, and if you look at, say, these numbers, and if I change my name to, say, 78, then the numbers will change. And sometimes the choices will change. Sometimes the function will change. But in any case, if you enter your ID again, the same question will appear. So you will not enter the same ID and get 2 different set of random questions. So you can safely print this and solve it, and then enter your answer at the end. So print it, solve the questions, and enter the answer back is okay. So you don't need to do it one time, basically. So all of these, you can enter numbers or expressions. So for example, here you can do 1 plus 2 times 3 plus, say, log 4. And if you click calculate, you will calculate the answer. So you can enter expressions. So here, you may be asked to enter vectors sometimes. So vectors will be entered separated by commas. So say 1 plus 2, 2, 3 plus 4, 5 plus 6. And if you click calculate, you will calculate the numbers and you will keep the commas. And you will be entering matrices as basically rows of vectors. So 1 and 2, say 2 plus 3. And next line 4 times 5 and maybe 6. And if you click calculate, you will evaluate all the expressions. But if there are some bugs in your expression, then you will not be evaluating these correctly. For some questions, you will be asked to enter an expression. So you don't need to simplify it, but you can. So for example, if you enter w times w plus w times w, if you simplify it, it will be 2 times w squared. For some of the questions, which will be rare for the later homework, there will be 3D diagrams. So you can zoom in, you can translate, or you can rotate it. But I think it does not display properly on some of the devices, so I will try not to do this often. So for these, you can select one or multiple answers. And there will be questions that ask you to highlight a graph. We will be using graph a lot in this course. So highlighting is very simple. And you can highlight nodes, you can highlight edges, and so on. And there are also questions that ask you to highlight cells in a table. So for example, you can highlight it this way, you can highlight a group of them, or you can unhighlight a group of them, for example. And these will be rare as well, where you will be asked to draw stuff. So you may be asked to draw a line, for example, that separates the two sets of points. So this question is actually very simple. It's just draw a line like this. And you might be asked to draw a diagram, which will, I think, happen after the midterm, where you can draw nodes, you can connect them. You can connect them like this. You can connect them using straight line. You can connect them with themselves. And you can have initial nodes. You can have terminal nodes like this. And text entering is just, you can enter anything. And that's basically it. If you click grade, you will be grading everything. And it will show you the grade, which ones are correct, which ones are incorrect. So you can change your answer afterwards. Basically, you can do it as many times as you want. So let me also show you the programming homework. So programming 1 is posted, but some part does not work yet. So hopefully by the beginning of the term, it will be fixed. So you will download your own data set, again, based on your ID. So you need to you need to enter your ID here, and then you'll get which subset of the data set you will be using and which function you will be using and so on. And to submit your output, you can either output them into a file and choose file and load them here. For example, you can load a text file like this, so it'll be loaded into this text box, or you can directly copy and paste your output into this text box, and there will be many of the text boxes to fill, and at the end there is the auto grade button. Right now it doesn't work. Let's go back to the slides. So for the programming homework, they are due usually 2 weeks after they are posted, but any time before the final is okay. So if you want to do all of them like 1 week before the final, it's okay, but it's highly not recommended because they are very long and they're very consuming, so time consuming. So you should start early, basically. Starting them on schedule is the best way. So one thing I want to talk about is that I will post the solution 1 week before the deadline. So I did this last year and many students liked it, so I'm going to do this again. So know that because, as I showed you, your question and your data set depends on your ID. So you cannot just use the solution that's posted, written by the TA exactly. So their solution should work on some data set with some kind of function, but it will not work for yours. So you do need to read through their code, understand their code, and try to change something so that it works to generate the correct output for your version of the programming homework. So the reason I want to do this is the main reason is that if I don't post the solution, or if I post the solution after the deadline, after you submit, if you get perfect on the programming homework, you will not look at the solution. And if you submitted something that's buggy, or you submitted something that doesn't work at all, and you get 0, then you will probably not be looking at the solution as well, because those programming assignments will not be useful for the midterm and exam. So they will not be relevant. So you will not be looking at the solution trying to fix your program. So basically means the TAs wasted their time writing the solution. So that's one reason. And the second and maybe more important reason for you is this is machine learning. So it's very difficult to debug. So most of the time, your program will output something, but that something will be wrong, will be like nonsense. So it's very hard to know what's going on, what's wrong with your program. So having a solution where you can compare the output for the same input, for example, you can compare the output, you can make the solution output some intermediate steps so that you can debug your code very easily. So I post the solution, the main reason is for you to use it to debug. So I would highly recommend you not to start with the solution and just change something, although you can do it, but I would recommend you to start your own version of the program and just use the solution as a way to help you debug and compare your answer with the correct output. So again, as I said, they will be auto-graded, and any language is okay, because as you saw, you only need to submit the output. So you can use any language, but the solutions will be posted in Python and Java. So if you want to look at them, you can program in these two languages. But if you want to use other languages, you should be able to translate them very easily as well. And midterm and final, I have not decided everything yet, but they will be mostly like a math homework. So you will submit everything online. I will probably hold this twice, one in the morning, one in the evening, in case some students are not in this country and cannot attend either one of them. So you can choose any one you want if you are here. Last year, I talked about many very not recommended ways to get B+, because I understand that some of you just want to get B or higher, which I don't think is actually a good strategy. Everyone should be aiming for an A. But in any case, if you just want to get B, then you don't need to attend any lectures, which I guess is actually okay. So you can also switch the quiz grades to the exam grades, so that's okay. Not doing any math homework is not good because they are similar to the exam questions, so you should be doing the math homework. And not doing half of the programming homework, I think last year, actually some people tried this. It's okay. If you are not a good programmer, if you don't want to do all the programming homework, it is actually okay. And they are time consuming and they are very difficult. So if you are planning for that, that's okay too. But know that you need to get perfect on everything else, so it's kind of hard as well. And the last one only works for this summer, because this summer the exams are worth a total of 20%. Usually they are worth a total of 40%. So if you are not going to take any exams because of scheduling conflict or you don't want the stress, it's okay too. I wouldn't recommend it as well, but if you don't want to do it, you need to get perfect on everything else in order to get B or higher. And of course, there's only one way to get A, is just do everything. The last thing I want to talk about is the textbook. So I think it's hard to get a textbook these days, so you may not want to get a textbook, so I will make both of the textbook recommendations not mandatory. So my lecture slides and videos should be sufficient, but if you want a good background reading, to read it before the lectures, to read it to help you understand what's going on, the RN textbook is a very good one. So it does not cover everything. It does not cover the detailed mathematics, but it covers what these algorithms are about. So it's a good background reading. And SS is very, very theoretical. So you need a lot of math background to understand it. But if you are planning to take higher level graduate machine learning courses, that book is really good. So this is the end of part 1. Part 2, I will start machine learning.